Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Automated Millionaire video/podcast. Hi, I'm Mikael Pitsner. I'm also known as the Automated Millionaire, and I'm the creator of all the courses and the programs behind the Automated Millionaire. And you can find these or more information on these on my website, theautomatedmillionaire.com. For those who are new here to this channel, I welcome you with my warm heart, and I hope that you get some value out of these nuggets that I bring you here. This channel is for business owners of small and medium-sized businesses. And what I hope to convey to you is how you make a better business. Not having to work harder, but actually maybe taking gold nuggets and implementing in your business so that you can find more cash in your business or more efficiency and more easily run ways or more ways of running your business more easily. My typical clientele are the small and medium-sized businesses, but they come from all kinds of industries. And the reason being is that what I teach and so on is very much the business of business. So at the end of the day, you're the expert tradesman or tradeswoman in that industry that you operate in. So maybe you're a fencing contractor and are, an absolute expert in how to set up fences, make sure that they're all completely aligned and don't wobble. They have longevity, use the right materials for the right areas, use the right materials for the right purpose, and so on. Can really map this out for your clientele so that they make the right purchasing decision and they get the best job done by the best experts in the area. Maybe you're that person. Maybe you're an expert, a tradesman in something else, some other trade. At the end of the day, I don't wish to convey to you as if I am an expert of let's say, a concrete service contractor. I'm no expert at house painting. I'm no expert at HVAC installations. I'm no expert in household appliances. I'm no expert in funerals or coffins. I'm no expert in pharmacy or medication or anything of that nature. But the fact of the matter is I've helped companies of all those kind of industries and many, many, many more in industries that I don't know much about as in terms of the trade. But I know that the important insights in terms of the business, in terms of how to run a better business. Now, personally, and many of my colleagues, the most esteemed colleagues that I work with, we all use a system, and that's what makes it so successful, because a system is something that's proven, it's tested, it's implemented, it's tried, and you found all the kinks and you're ironed out and so on, and now eventually you have a system that pretty much is full-blown success all the way through, no matter what kind of business it is. It also makes it so that you can teach it and repeat it. You can repeat it and you can teach it. And so you can put it into businesses that, like I said, like me, I had no prior information about, no prior experience about, and yet it'll actually still work with that business. Because it's a system. It's a system of how to look at things in your business, how you go about finding, what's wrong in the business, how to go about finding, well, okay, we found what's wrong, how we're going to solve it, how to find, solutions to that typical problem that a lot of business owners end up in we don't have the cash. We have a deficit of cash. We have no credit left. We have creditors calling. So how do we finally get some more cash in our business? You'll be surprised how much cash is typically lying around in the business without being found because you just don't know how. So not only do I have, and I offer my clients a list of things of here's where you can go and find cash, I'm dead certain you'll find, you can use maybe 50%, if not more, out of this entire list that you will find cash in your business. And we're not talking $25 here and there. We're talking about big amounts of cash. It's the same system that I've helped all these companies use, where I go in and help them turn the wheels so that all of a sudden they're making 100,000 more, 200,000 more, 700,000 more, $1.25 million more a year, by doing the right things, and it was all within the business. Yes, sometimes you transform the business a little bit and so on, but predominantly speaking, we're talking about it's the same business, same activities, but done better and done in such a way that it's a system. And so with a system, what you do is also you align all your people, all your employees and all your team members and so on. So now all of a sudden they know exactly what that's required of them, what to do, by how much, by when, who to report to, and so on and so forth. This system then makes it so that things happen almost on autopilot, almost automatically. And once you have looked at a certain issue and certain problem, certain challenge, and said, okay, this we need to take care of it, we need to address it, we need to make some actions because it's costing us a lot of money, and you have quantified how much that is. And then you have found out, okay, well, this is the way we're going to go about it, and Jim is going to take care of it, and Peter's going to supervise it, and he's going to report on it because it's part of his department and so on. And we know how much Jim is going to do and by when and so on. And so now all the reporting data comes back on a weekly basis, and we can track, are we doing it or not doing it? And if we fall short, then we get a recommitment from everybody involved in that particular fix and those particular actions. And then the recommitment will strengthen that, hey, we're doing this, we're doing it now, not tomorrow, and so on. And eventually you will actually see that all your results are coming in and everything is almost running on automation. And as a business owner, if you like to, that may not be in your cards right now that you want to, maybe you actually really enjoy showing up for business every day, but you can run it so much more easily that you could, if you wanted to, become more of an absentee business owner, or you could be focused more on the broad strokes of the vision, where you're taking it, what's the next 10 years, because now you jumped up your results to a much higher level, which typically affords you an ability to do more and reach for even higher goals. Now in this episode here, I'm sorry it's a long introduction, but I hope it's valuable as a recap for those who are coming back here, and for those who are first here, then maybe it gives you a good insight to what are we talking about all the time. This episode here, what I want to talk about is, and it's part of our series of the mistakes that business owners do, is I don't want to look for excuses. Most people, in both in personal lives or in business and so on, whenever something is not performed at, whenever something happens and something negative and so on, they're always looking for why, what did this happen, why did this happen, and so on. They're looking for excuses. And here's the problem with that. It's like, why did we not meet the sales goal? Well, at the end of the day, they're going to come with excuses, and that's really all they are. They are just excuses, and they'll always sound really plausible. They'll always have good excuses, because I think the human nature is very adept at finding excuses. But at the end of the day, it doesn't bring you results, right? It doesn't bring you any good results. It doesn't move you forward. It doesn't push the people forward to actually bring the level of participation or activities or performance into play in your business on a daily basis, so that you can track that on a weekly basis you're actually reaching all your goals. So instead of looking for the excuses, then here's what I like you to do. I like you to say to the employees, the ones who are coming back on this week's management team meeting and saying, well, we're short by, let's say in production, we're short by 10 widgets. Or let's say it's sales, we're short by 10 sales, or we're short in our revenues, or we are short in our production efficiency or something by a certain measure, compared to the outline that we have set, the goal that we have set, which we all believed were totally attainable when we actually carry out the actions to the right degree. So when they're coming back to this management team meeting and they're reporting, well, we're short, then refrain from asking why, because yes, if something bad happens in the company, maybe you want to know what's the underlying reason, maybe dig into that and then find out, okay, it's what's called spiral ripple effect, and we can find that root cause and we can fix that. That's great. But In this case here, we're talking about a performance level that just wasn't met, and a performance measure that really could have been met. So instead of listening to, well, we didn't do it because we were delayed, delivery truck with our materials came in late, cost us 1 day, so we are not quite there. Well, instead of looking for that why, then speak with the employee in concern or employee team in concern, and then say, well, what are we gonna do to make sure we are online come next week? What are you committing to do to make it happen that we are reaching these goals and we make up for, let's say, maybe even lost ground? And see, what happens is that they will now say in their own words, they'll go through their mental register here, and then they'll think about, okay, well, we could do a little bit. Maybe it'll cost us a little overtime just for 2 or 3 days, or maybe we'll, do things in a different way and so on. And then we'll make up for the lost ground, and then we'll actually be on par, and we'll stay the course, and we'll be, right on track again. And see, what happens is you're getting their words, their commitment to you, rather than you dictating to them, we need this done. There's a huge difference, both in the psychology, but also in the level of performance that will probably come out of it, and how they'll come back and be much more proud next week and say, we actually did it, here's what we did, and maybe it did cost you a little bit of overtime, but maybe that expenditure was well worth it, and now you're running fine again, and you're actually hitting all the targets and all the goals. So lessons for today is, do not look for the excuses, because there'll be plenty of excuses. They'll sound really good and plausible, but they'll get you no results of anything that's any good for you in your business. You won't get further. You won't get where you want to go. So you're not really looking for the excuses. Instead, look for the recommitment to the goal, the commitment from your team and employees about what are they gonna do, what is their commitment to make it happen so that the results will come in. I hope this served you well. I know this works, and I know because we have implemented that. Me personally, I implemented that in the trenches, in the site, in the field, on the site with over 100 companies all over the United States, all over Canada, of all kinds of industries. And it worked in every single instance that I was in there with. And I know it also works because over 1,300 esteemed colleagues with one of the businesses that I used to represent, they all used some similar system here. And they all came back and could prove how it worked. Just as a side note, it's the resulting reports that came back with some 97-98% of success rate. And the success rate was measured by the fact of, okay, there was a guarantee given to clientele that for every dollar they spend, they would make at least 2 back within a calendar year after implementing such a system. And so 97-98% actually could prove that. And also the reporting was from the clientele themselves and how they reported, how well is it working for them, how happy are they. And the success factor was astounding. In fact, but I'll take this on my own personal responsibility basically, is that I truly believe that the only instances when things did not work was when the business owners and their team soon enough did not carry out the system. So maybe they got the whole system implemented, spent a ton of money for a lot of expensive consultancy hours to have it installed and implemented and taught in and so on. And then as soon as the consultant would leave off-site, or soon after or later on during the year and so on, they would wean off and somewhat return to their old ways of whatever they did before. And soon enough, the trajectory of the good results that came in would soon even out and start dipping again, and eventually the business would be back at the let's be honest, with most of these clients, mediocre results that they were getting, because now they were doing the ways and carrying out the system, or lack of system, the way they used to carry out business before the system came into place. So now they were doing their old ways of doing it and expecting a new result, but you know that perfectly. If you do what you always done, you probably always get what you always gotten. So, this is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, they reverted to their old ways, which means that they typically soon enough would get the old results that they used to get. And those were results that they typically weren't too happy about to begin with. So in other words, there has been no business that I have personally had my hands into where I could not see this system working for. I hope that you either have such a system. This particular episode, we only spoke about one key element about, once you set the metrics, once you set the expectation zone, you have gotten that commitment. And then now when they come short, you're not really looking for why are we not reaching it, and you're getting more gray hairs and pulling out your hair and so on, getting more aggravated. But instead you're asking about their recommitment and what will they do differently to make sure that you're hitting the goal. This is super, super powerful, and you're really reaching into them to really step up to the plate and assume responsibility. It's an area that's so critical, and a lot of people, they try to avoid assuming responsibility. But quite frankly, when we have something that keeps, we keep banging our head in against the wall and so on, we gotta ask ourselves, well, I'm the common denominator in all of this happening all the time. Maybe it's my fault, what is it? Maybe I need to take responsibility of it. If I'm getting the same results over and over, maybe I need to look at what I'm doing. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe there's something I'm not doing. Maybe I have very poor habits, maybe very poor routines. Maybe I'm not doing the work I'm supposed to do. And take responsibility for it rather than looking for all the excuses, which there will be plentiful, and which we are probably very good at even telling ourselves. But instead, we'll look for a constructive way. What am I willing to do? And what will I commit to doing on an hourly basis, daily basis, minute basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, to ensure that my results and my goals are reached? I think this was a mouthful, so let's stop here. I hope that I can get you to hit the like button. I'd love to have your comments. If there's anywhere you can leave a comment here for this particular channel, I'd love to see it. And otherwise, I'd love to hear anything that you have to contribute. You can reach out to me via my website, theautomatedmillionaire.com. Again, also on theautomatedmillionaire.com, you'll find the free training, which currently is me mapping out my system. And then also you might be able to avail yourself of some other free resources. So I definitely invite you to have a look at theautomatedmillionaire.com. I hope maybe also you'll subscribe to the channel so that I can see you in future episodes. And I hope maybe you'll refer a friend or two who might want to have some of these gold nuggets to them. This was Mikhail Pitzner, also known as the Automated Millionaire, and I see you in tomorrow's episode.